trainings. Potentially, a few of the people I was talking to for these interviews suggested maybe having someone outside of the School of Social Work do like a professional development course, whether that is a day long or a few hours or even a bi-weekly night class as an elective. And additionally, doing some focusing in on like the financial literacy. Again, those could be things that are performed during the lunch hour, maybe a few hours on a Saturday or a Friday morning. And then I think some of those unique field placements and field placement opportunities and programs, and UIUC is already doing those, such as the Be Well and the SBIRT programs and the HEAL Scholars. The HEAL Scholars is nationwide. It's recognized as one of the premier interprofessional programs. And so I think things like that are really going to get us on the right track, and moving forward, those are the type of things I think personally that the profession could use to continue fostering the interprofessional development. And secondly, I think that if we can do a better job, and this one kind of goes to educators or even employers, is just to convey the importance of those program evaluation courses and teaching the skills of financial literacy again, and just professionalism. I think that those are often lost when we're doing a lot of the clinical training and we're trying to get a lot of the theoretical things down. So maybe trying to focus more on a few of those practical skills that really do help emerging social workers land jobs and then succeed in those early jobs. Additionally, providing again additional opportunities for interprofessional collaboration. So maybe if you open up a few more classes. I know in my spring semester for us LSC folks, we did have some kids from outside the department in our social work entrepreneurship class, and that was a great experience just to hear how they thought a little bit differently about things. They taught a lot of us social work things we didn't know, and then I think we also provided some valuable insight to some of the things that we're pretty skilled at as social workers. And so things like that, and then even as an emerging social worker enters their career, I think getting those early opportunities for collaboration between the different professions and educational tracks is going to do wonders in the long run. Further research, I think we know a lot about the successes of interprofessional teams, and that's sort of like a buzzword. Everyone says, oh, we're working collaboratively, oh, we're doing this to connect our behavioral health and primary care physicians, and it doesn't always amount to practical results in the way that it should. I think that as much as we know that it can be beneficial if implemented correctly, we don't have as much of a knowledge base on, and in the literature, defining what are the actual steps for implementation and follow-up that'll continue to allow these programs to have success. So I think that if we can do some more research into that, that'll ultimately benefit these teams and just the social work profession. And then additionally, I think that moving forward with NASW especially, I think I would love to see a closer partnership between graduate school of social work programs and employers. I know there are some relationships, but if that relationship could be fine-tuned and built upon moving forward, I think that those are where students will pick up some of those skills that employers are really searching for, and that also takes off some of the stress for schools that are trying to prepare all these students. If you can have a stronger relationship between those two entities, I think that it'll just be a win-win for everyone. And specifically using the Workforce Development Initiative as an example, I think bringing those two stakeholders together all throughout the state and just saying, look, this is what we're noticing, these are the trends, can we get some practical steps on improving those moving forward? And that's a really good foundation that ultimately we can build upon and really foster the growth of these emerging social workers and prepare them for whatever setting they're going into, whether it's healthcare related or not. Just to work collaboratively with other folks and really be the best emerging social workers they can be. And just going over a few of these next questions rather quickly. They've been addressed a few times throughout the video, But the stakeholders involved are population served. So the stakeholders are employers, different schools of social work and graduate programs, the healthcare workforce at large, and then the population served is really anyone who accesses the healthcare system, because ultimately the clients and the patients are going to be the ones that benefit most from a thriving interprofessional team. And then the need this project addressed at NASW Illinois. I'm hoping to relay my results to the Workforce Development Initiative, and just having a communication with a few of them, and a few of the people I interviewed actually participated in the first summit. So I'm hoping that our conversation helped them rethink some things, and also I can relay my findings to that larger group. And so my preliminary research is really going to help lay the foundation for where I think that, building upon the summit in April, they can move forward and utilize that information. So that's really what I'm hoping for. And additionally, with all the research I've done into interprofessional teams, I think that's a great opportunity for NASW to learn, and we can better relay that information to our members. And specifically, we could even consider doing some type of CEU event. We do a lot of different trainings for all different areas of social work, and so if we could really focus in on one, utilizing maybe one of the 3 participants I interviewed, and having them host a training on what does working collaboratively with folks from different education backgrounds and different professional backgrounds. Number 6 and 7, I'm just going to talk about how research informed this project, and also how I incorporated practice-informed research. For the former, prior to my field placement, I didn't have a whole lot of experience researching or even thinking about interprofessional healthcare teams. I did a little bit of healthcare related work in the spring semester, but other than that I didn't know much. And specifically, I also didn't know a whole lot about the grand challenges of social work. And so to get me up to speed, I really had to focus in on those 2 subjects, and so I did a lot of reading and a lot of research into those, just so I had a good understanding of the issue, because the last thing I wanted to do was to go into an interview with someone and not be knowledgeable enough to continue the conversation and to ask them tough questions and then to respond to their inquiries to me. And so I think that by doing all the early research, I was able to hold a good conversation and ask those tough questions. And then for the practice-informed research, I used my critical thinking skills to evaluate the different literature, and also I used my interviewing skills to get some hard data, my qualitative data I said from the interviews. And also I intend to use the findings from this project to really guide me moving forward. Especially, they provided a lot of insight, my participants and my interviewees. They provided a lot of insight into what employers look for in emerging social workers, so I'm hoping to internalize some of those things and moving forward incorporate some of those as I start my job search, and hopefully after I land a job in my early months and years. And for the final little bit of this video, I just want to talk about some of the challenges I faced while trying to do this project at my field placement, as well as a few lessons I learned along the way and how I'm going to incorporate those moving forward. So the challenges I faced were balancing this project and other work responsibilities. Early on in the summer, I didn't think this would be too difficult. I didn't think I was taking on anything that was completely unreasonable. But as we all know, things come up when you're at your field placement, and so I'd be working and I'd be sort of brainstorming this, and then something happens at an ASW, a meeting pops up, a different project, different task gets assigned to me, and you kind of have to put this project on the back burner, especially knowing that it wasn't due until later in the placement. And so just trying to continue to make progress on this while also staying up to date and really doing great work with my other internship tasks. And then scheduling and conducting the interviews, like I mentioned, these were 3 directors of some pretty prominent organizations, so I think that I underestimated how difficult it would be to find a time that would work for them and a time that would work for me, so that we could have a fun conversation and just talk about some of these things. I would have loved to do a few of the interviews in person, but just with scheduling that wasn't really feasible. And then third, just distancing myself from some of the comments. We all know it's easier to sort of pick at things we don't like than it is to really provide some compliments at some of the strengths. And so I noticed that throughout these interviews there were a lot of, this is what social workers could do better, this is what school programs could do better, and so trying to just distance myself and not internalize those things. As an emerging social worker, I didn't want to feel too much of that negative energy and be weighed down by that, but I really wanted to internalize what they were saying in the sense that I processed it and I understand where they're coming from, but I also am thinking about how I can improve upon those and how I can relay those messages to my colleagues. And then just incorporating my findings into a creative format. Originally I said I was going to do a podcast, but then after further consideration I realized that asking to record some of the folks for a school project, especially when they're in these unique positions, that I thought that might be stepping on their toes a little bit. It might limit what they had to say. Maybe they wouldn't be as honest or straightforward with me. And also that presents some sort of confidentiality things. And so I didn't want to mess with that whole process. So I decided to just do the interviews, write extensive notes, and then try to transform those into something creative later on. And I didn't really know what shape that was going to take. And so that's why I'm here, just relaying this through video. I feel like this is a pretty creative method, and hopefully it won't be too brutal. And moving forward, just a few lessons I learned from this project. I'm going to continue focusing on ways I can improve my professional communication. I think that I can write decently well and I can speak decently well, but knowing how important that is to employers has really provided me with some valuable information, and I'm going to try to continue to build upon those skills that I've already built the foundation for throughout school and improve on moving forward. And then I definitely increased my awareness of how important these interprofessional teams were. I think I always knew this, and like I kind of mentioned earlier in the video, that these are buzzwords, they sound great, but in reality I didn't know a whole lot. And just looking at the research and learning how important these are to actual client outcomes, that was some really valuable information, and I'm going to definitely take that into my practice. Third, social workers. I kind of knew this, but I think it was helpful to hear it hear it mentioned over and over again. Was that social workers in general need to advocate for themselves and the profession better. I think that we focus a lot of time and energy on advocating for our clients, but we really, if we want to advance our profession and our careers as individuals, we have to tell these non-traditional settings like a hospital or something where maybe they don't have the best relationship with their social workers. We have to tell them, this is what I can do, and this is how I can improve this team, and this is what I'm capable of. And until we do that, we're not going to grow as a profession, and we're going to be left behind on some of those really important decisions. And so just moving forward, we have to learn how to do a better job advocating for our profession. And then D, just the importance of expanding my professional network through the stakeholder meetings and through these interviews. I feel like I built some solid relationships along the way, and most of these interviews came out of some of those stakeholder groups where I was able to just say, hey, I'm doing this project, I'd really love your help, and then I could follow up with an email a week or two down the road when I was looking to schedule interviews and just say, hey, are you still interested? And so that's how I set up all these interviews, and so that's again another reminder of how important it is to just make those relationships along the way and follow up with people, and that really helped me throughout this whole project, as I was able to get an interview, and then through that person even I was able to get another person. And so just those little relationships and those little things along the way that we don't always think of, those are important, because continuing to expand our network is going to help us as we enter the field. We're looking for jobs, we're looking for resources, and so those are the relationships we need to value the most. Finally, thank you all for watching this video. Hopefully I was able to clearly articulate some of my ideas and some of the findings from this research. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email or comment on the post. I'll definitely provide all the resources and citations either on the video or when I upload it to Compass. And I'm looking forward to seeing all your guys' projects along the way and seeing all the great work you've done.